The Game Awards officially wrapped up last night, and my word, there were a ton of huge gaming announcements that are getting me incredibly excited for 2026 and beyond. Jeff obviously decided to once again herd us all into one massive live stream so he can show us some games, ads, and even the occasional big award, so well done to Clair Obscur, by the way. But in all honesty, we all came here for the games, because like me, I bet many of you don't really care much about the best mobile game. So today I will be covering the 25 brand new games announced for Xbox, and with that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's just dive right into it. First up, and as part of the Game Awards pre-showing, Capcom has finally revealed an official release date for its sci-fi action game named Pragmata. The upcoming title will launch for our Xbox Series X and S consoles on the 24th of April next year, and there's also going to be a free demo on the way as well. That free demo is live today right now on Steam, but unfortunately all of us console players, including us on Xbox, will have to wait a little bit longer for it. But man, Capcom are really going balls to the wall to make this one as peculiar as possible. All I know is that the two protagonists will have to essentially work together to escape from a lunar research station that's filled with all sort of malevolent robots. It looks great, and I really do hope it lands well early next year. Well, one of my favourite reveals, and one that really did kind of come out of nowhere, was the announcement of Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, and this one is actually being developed by the little known Archanaut Studios and currently in development for both PC and consoles. It is being described as a spiritual successor to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, which is so great to see, and is also being led by the original game designer on that title in addition to the Mass Effect trilogy, that being Casey Hudson. All signs point to this one being quite a way off though, but to be honest, I'm really loving what I'm hearing so far. We don't have many other details other than that right now, but I fully expect we might see more as time goes on in 2026, but I do reckon this one might unfortunately be releasing in 2027 or potentially beyond that. It's been a while now since I've last heard anything about John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, but it's back and now we finally got a definitive release date as it's coming to Xbox in early 2026. This one though is described as an infectious corpse shooter that's powered by the same engine behind the likes of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 and World War Z Aftermath, so I've got some incredibly high hopes for this one when it launches next year. We even had a further look at the solid FPS gameplay and just those over-the-top forms that we fell in love with the studio's previous games. It looks incredibly gruesome and just outrageous in terms of its character and also the story, so I do reckon this will be a big hit next year. I'm really excited, and you can expect way more coverage from me here on the channel about this one closer to its launch. As if that whole monolith in the desert sort of scenario wasn't really weird enough for you, it seems that many were actually correct with deciphering what this one was for, and yes, Larian are finally coming back. The extremely talented folks over there have actually revealed their brand new project today in the form of Divinity, which is described as being an RPG with greater breadth and depth than we've ever seen before. Those are extremely ambitious words, of course, and considering Larian previously worked on the likes of Baldur's Gate 3, not only one of the biggest RPGs that's ever been made, but also one of the best video games that I've ever played. It sounds like they've got a long way to go for this one, of course, and there wasn't really any gameplay or details other than that pretty glorious and gruesomely detailed trailer, so I know many, including myself, are really hyped to see hopefully more this year. Frictional games are the minds behind the likes of Amnesia and the existential nightmare known as Soma, but they just revealed their chilling new project and it might mess with your head all over again. It's called Onstos and it's actually a spiritual successor to Soma, and it will be launching next year onto both the Xbox Series X and S consoles and PC. In this one, you play as Aditi Amani, drawn to a mysterious moon hotel called Samsara after receiving an invitation from her estranged father. But of course, this one is not going to be a luxury getaway. It's a place where reality fractures and truths hide in plain sight. You can expect hands-on system-driven gameplay, disturbing experiments, and all the moral choices with brutal consequences. Ontos does promise to be a sci-fi mystery that questions the soul, suffering, and reality itself, and as someone who really isn't a fan of horror games, this one looks bloody insane, and a big hell nah from me. Just on a very quick note as well, and because the game has been announced before, we got a rather lengthy look at the new sci-fi action-adventure RPG known as Exodus that's being developed by Archetype Entertainment, and I'm seriously getting impressed by what we're seeing every single time with this one. It's no surprise that I'm getting sort of Mass Effect vibes considering the dev studio is made up of previous Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate, and Star Wars sort of veterans, so Exodus is definitely a game I'll be keeping my eye on. I have covered this many times before, but it has moved now out of a 2026 window and into 2027 2027, so it does look like we'll have to wait a little while longer until this one releases. Wizards of the Coast and Invoke have announced Warlock Dungeons & Dragons, an original third-person single-player action-adventure game. This new game though puts players in the role of Kateri, a veteran warrior who makes a pact to wield otherworldly magic against dark powers, as any D&D Warlock would have done to gain their own powers. The team at Invoke though said they're actually more concerned with making an immersive world title and not just catering to sort of D&D while developing Warlock. Whilst Warlock is still set within the world of D&D with cameos and Easter eggs and all of that sort of galore, there's no dice rolling, and the developers wanted this title to feel like a standalone action-adventure title. Still, I'm actually really intrigued by this one, and I cannot wait to see more about this one very, very soon. Milestone's utterly outstanding anime-inspired racer called Screamer will finally boost onto our Xbox consoles on the 26th of March, and here's your first taste of its narrative. For those of you who don't know, this game sort of mixes arcade action with throwback 90s style story, where 5 teams of rash tag racers all go head to head in a futuristic tournament. The game is really pushing that genre forward though, with some innovative new mechanics, and is all sort of centered around that sort of risk and reward special gauge named Echo, which serves as your boost, shield and offense all in one place. I should add though, there will be a standard edition and a digital deluxe edition at its launch, so if you do want 3 days of early access, then that digital deluxe is certainly for you. I'm loving more and more that I see of this one every single day, and March is quite easily stacking up as a hectic month for sure. Another one of my favourite announcements was for Remedy Entertainment, and they finally revealed Control Resonant, the highly anticipated sequel to of course its critically acclaimed paranormal action game known as Control. This one though is of course coming to Xbox and PC and will launch sometime in 2026, which is quite incredible to hear. In this sequel though, it is said that we will explore a warped Manhattan on the brink of paranatural annihilation as Dylan Fadden, the actual brother of Control's protagonist Jesse Fadden. It seems Manhattan will be a really altered reality with environments that defy natural law and distort gravity as they tap into Dylan's abilities. We will have to make choices, explore a deep progression system, and then wield the raw force of Dylan's shapeshifting melee weapon called the Aberrant. It looks totally different to the first game thanks to the melee shift instead of his guns, and to be honest, I'm all for it. It looks insane, and man, Remedy just know how to make some great bangers this day and age. Toshihiro Nagoshi is basically the father of the Yakuza and Like a Dragon franchises, but he left RGG Studios and Sega all the way back in 2021 now to actually form his own development outfit, fittingly named Nagoshi Studio. He's basically just making his own Yakuza game with mega publisher NetEase's monetary backing. It's called Gang of the Dragon, and its announcement trailer shows what's to be a sort of grittier take on the criminal underworld than that of what sort of RGG's cooking up these days. The trailer itself does seem to compromise purely of cinematics, but it's got plenty of violence, and at one point we even see a sports car tearing down a city streets. We'll likely be hearing much more about this one in the relatively near future, and I'm really excited to see where the studio goes with this brand new IP. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight finally revealed its official release date, and also gave all of its fans a closer look at both its humour, gameplay, and then a couple of previously unannounced villains. It has been more than a couple of months now since any major info dropped on this one, but a new trailer shows the mix of comedy and drama that we all kind of expect to see in May of 2026. I absolutely adore Lego games, so I'm actually really excited for this, and to see so many more of those sort of slapstick comedy moments that are presented in the Lego style, but with Batman front and centre. The trailer also popped in a few unexpected faces from Batman's past, as a couple of 90s movie villains will be making their presence known, that being Two-Face and Mr. Freeze. It looks like a great time, and again, are you going to be picking this one up? Also, what IP would you love to see Legofied in the near future? I want to hear your thoughts about this one and sort of those future IPs in the comments below. Whilst down there as well, do make sure to hit that subscribe button, as your support this year has been utterly phenomenal, and we're getting ever so close now to 80,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We're so very close, so please do hit it. And also, I do bring you Xbox content every single day, and there's going to be a ton more over these next couple of weeks into that holiday season. Thanks so much for the support, and let's just dive back into the remaining announcements, as there's just so many to cover in this video alone. A new age of Tomb Raider finally begins next year, and man, I'm beyond bloody hyped for this one. Surprisingly, this is a collaboration between Crystal Dynamics and Amazon Game Studios, and they actually revealed 2 new Lara Croft-centric video games which are coming soon. First up, the developers revealed a first look announcement trailer for what they're calling Tomb Raider Catalyst, and this is the official next continuation of this gaming franchise. It's kind of unclear though whether that story, which is set in northern India, will be a direct continuation of the previous Survivor trilogy arc, which actually capped with with 2018 Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I do know at the moment that this one is set in the mysterious wake of a mythical cataclysm that has unleashed ancient secrets and awakened the mysterious forces that guard them. Essentially then, Lara has to race to uncover the truth buried beneath these fractured landscapes and stop those who could use their power for their own game. It does sound like typical Tomb Raider, to be honest, and I'm just loving that they're going back to the sole gameplay loop of being an absolute badass, raiding tombs, and just including some over-the-top action sequences. Until that one lands in 2027 though, we will also see Lara next year in a second game called Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. This is actually a modern reimagining of the first Tomb Raider from 1996 with Unreal Engine 5. That title alone will arrive in 2026, and it also looks pretty fantastic. It seems like a real love letter for all of us fans of this franchise, and I know this will also give us a taste of how the second game will fare a year later. There are also a few bonuses listed for pre-orders and all that as per usual, but I just can't wait to see more from Lara in the near future. My own personal announcement of the entire Game Awards though was for the new Total War game. As many of you may know by now, I'm a massive fan of anything Warhammer based and especially RTS based, and for me Space Marine 2 was easily my game of the year for 2024. With that though, Sega came forward to announce Total War Warhammer 40k, and without being totally outrageous with my own language, I'm beyond bloody hyped for this release, and seeing it come to Xbox Day 1 is just icing on the cake. The big question I have though is just how they're going to handle the scale of this one. Will there be multiple planets to conquer, and are there real-time space battles for us to fight in? Will units line up in a sort of regimented fashion, or will they fight in looser squads like they do within the tabletop? There are so many questions I hold for this one right now, but that short snippet of gameplay looks so good and just so bloody glorious. There is no release date unfortunately for this one as of yet, so I do expect maybe a full 2026 or early 2027 release date. Between the likes of 2XKO and Avatar Legends, the rapidly approaching 2026 is looking like a massive year for fighting games, and not just Xbox in general. But there's definitely one more that I haven't mentioned here on the channel before, and that's for Invincible Versus. This is the new 3-on-3 fighter from Killer Instinct veterans Quarter Up, which will touch down on Xbox on the 30th of April, and it's going for free. Joining the roster will be Elemental, an all-new character making their Invincible universe debut. Don't worry though, this new edition is canon as well, and has been conceived by series creators Robert Kirkman and Corey Walker. Again, it's going to be a massive year for fighting game fans, and I want to know what your favourite is coming soon in the comments below. To be honest, I never really expected any less from Blizzard at the Game Awards, and they put so much spotlight on their brand new expansion in a very big way, and it's coming very soon. The Lord of Hatred, Mephisto, appeared in the Game Awards stage himself to chastise everyone within the audience before introducing this brand new trailer. Interestingly enough, two classes are also getting added in Lord of the Hatred, with one of them being the Paladin. The new region to explore is called Skovos, which is the one-time home of Lilith, which will have plenty of pathways towards hell. Blizzard has also promised to rework gameplay systems again, such as new skill variants and even level cap increases, and there'll also be a loot filter to make sorting loot even easier. But perhaps the most important of all, they're finally adding fishing. If you are interested in this though, it does come out on the 20th of April next year. The upcoming sequel to Lord of the Fallen just had its gameplay premiere, and if you're a fan of the series, it is going to bring a heavier take on Souls-like gameplay with oodles of blood and overwhelmingly gothic vibes. The gameplay trailer did provide a glimpse though at a few of the game's bosses, the co-op action, and at least one gnarly looking execution. Lords of the Fallen 2 though, like its predecessor, takes place in a world split between two realms stacked on top of one another, as the Lamp-Bearer is once again the player's responsibility to walk between those realms and triumph over all the brutal boss fights and bring peace to both. It looks great, and I have no doubt it will be another banger on Xbox when it arrives next year. No Law is a new open-world first-person RPG shooter from Neon Giant, who is the same team behind isometric cyberpunk shooter The Ascent, and is coming to Xbox and is certainly a step away from their previous project. No Law doesn't have an exact release window as of yet, but it does show gameplay in its debut trailer. In this one, you play as a grizzled ex-military man named Gray Harker, who just so happens to reside in a lawless cyber-grunge city called Port Desire. Basically, you'll be taking on the law in your own hands through a range of weapons and tech-based abilities. It does look pretty promising, even though the FPS gameplay does feel slightly weird to me, but then again, I could see it sort of scratching that kind of chaotic Far Cry style edge. What do you make of No Law? I would be keen to see if any of you will be picking this one up when it drops very soon. I know there will be a few people out there who are excited for this next announcement. Arriving sometime in 2026, Ace Combat 8 Wings of the Thave is the first mainline entry in the beloved aerial dogfighting series since 2019. The game's announcement trailer packed quite a lot of details into just a minute and a half of in-engine footage. A lot of it is what you kind of expect from the series if you're an existing Ace Combat head, so stuff like dogfights amidst stunning skyboxes, a whole bunch of interesting characters, and then hints at the next chapter in the conflict of this fictional world. It does look like more of the same great gameplay, and if you're unfamiliar with the series, I do highly recommend you check out the last game as soon as possible. One lovely surprise that had its lid lifted was for another Star Wars game. It's called Star Wars Galactic Racer, which I'm sure you probably summarized is a Star Wars themed racing game. More specifically though, it is a runs-based high-stakes reinvention of racing reborn in a lawless outer rim of the Star Wars galaxy, and that's quoting the development team themselves. I believe there was a pod racing game all the way back on the PS2, but honestly I cannot for the life of me remember if that was the case, so do let me know. We didn't get any fixed gameplay either this time around, as there seemed to be a lot of cinematic moments, but it is due next year, so hopefully we do see some more gameplay in real time very soon. Fans of the likes of It Takes Two and Split Fiction might want to pay attention to this next title, because another co-op adventure is finally heading to Xbox next year. Out of Words launches in 2026 and is a stop-motion co-op adventure from developers Kong Orange, Wildfly and Morten Songergaard, with publishing duties from Epic Games. You will be exploring the wild, colourful realm, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, Volker Boluntis as Kirk and Kala, and these are two mouthless individuals who must work together to overcome the odds. The game actually got its first public debut though all the way back at the Summer Games Fest in 2025 and received plenty of critical acclaim, especially for those who had hands-on with the demo. It's lovely then, and it's now being confirmed for Xbox really soon, so I have no doubt this will be a great indie game to play next year. Capcom is taking Mega Man out of cold storage finally, where he's been quietly resting for nearly a decade now. Mega Man Dual Override is coming in 2027, so it's a little while off, but it's the first new mainline Mega Man game since 2018's Mega Man 11. Details are quite lacking across the board at the moment, but a brief trailer for Mega Man Dual Override confirmed one important thing. The next game will be a classic 2D side-scrolling action platformer in the same vein of the Mega Man games of old. According to the trailer description though, Mega Man will return in 2027 with a brand new entry in the classic action platformer series. Override will challenge us to blast down legions of robots while springboarding across a new array of futuristic frontiers. So yeah, Mega Man's gonna do some more Mega Man stuff as we come to expect, but it is a little while off at the moment. We did actually get a final big surprise, which we do come to expect from all of those sort of closing moments of the Game Awards these days. But yeah, I'm not really sold on this, and I know it's not exactly going down well within the gaming community as a whole. The new studio, known as Wildlight Entertainment, who are made of old sort of ex-Respawn developers, announced Highguard, and this is a free-to-play shooter coming to Xbox next month. Of course, this team is made up of some of the folks behind Titanfall and Apex Legends, which is some pretty incredible FPS pedigree. Still, this one is a PvP raid hero shooter where players will ride, fight, and raid as wardens. You essentially have to battle rival wardens to break into and destroy their base, and I won't lie, it kind of gives me massive sort of Concord 2.0 vibes, and it does seem a little bit generic yet again. I know I want to see studios succeed these days, but I just don't know what they see with the fascination in these sort of hero shooters, because they're just so bloody oversaturated. Again, I would be keen to hear your thoughts on this one down in the comments below, because man, it just looks like another generic shooter. To finish off the night, after winning multiple awards at the Game Awards in a pretty big clean sweep, the team behind Clair Obscur Expedition 33 actually announced a thank you update containing a bunch of new features and improvements to their game, and it's available right now. Some highlights include a new playable environment featuring new enemy encounters and surprises, new boss battles for late game players, new luminars and weapons alongside a photo mode, and even optimization for the ROG Xbox Ally, and so much more. This is an absolutely cracking amount of content, and my word, Sandford just keeps adding to why they're one of the best studios out in the market right now. I will dive in and do a smaller review and look at the DLC, so do make sure to stay tuned to the channel over the next couple of days. I do want to also make you aware of something pretty enormous, and although it wasn't a specific announcement at the Game Awards itself, it was featured during the Game Pass trailer within the show, which many missed. The tease is for Gears of War E-Day, and it's now been confirmed by Xbox that this entry will be landing onto Xbox and Game Pass in 2026. That is some huge news, which I'm really surprised we didn't get an official sort of announcement trailer at the Game Awards. Xbox also confirmed that whilst there weren't many Game Pass titles here, that a Dev Direct is also coming early next year in January with some huge games, but I will touch more on that with a video very soon, so make sure to subscribe down below as there will be a ton of content coming out within the next couple of days. Whilst down there though, do make sure as well to like this video if you enjoyed, and let me know your favourite announcement for the Game Awards this year, and if you're happy with the Game of the Year winner. A big shout out as well to our channel members for your continued support as well this year. It really helps me sort of support the channel and does keep the lights on, especially into next year, which will certainly be a huge year for all of us Xbox fans. If you do want to join and obviously support me a little bit further, do hit that join button down below if you want to do so, as I do give you some awesome perks as well. Thank you so much again, and check out this video on screen now if you want to check out some more Xbox bits and bobs. And damn, let's get this holiday season a cracking right now.